Today is a meeting of one of the original founders of Spokes, David Smith. And we also have one of our longtime members, David Stammen, who's been an active member of Spokes since the 60s. David Smith reached out to us about a year and a half ago and said that he had some old information about the founding of the club, and being Spokes, we jumped right on it and did nothing for the better part of a year. And then as we realized what we had, we reached out and started the conversation, and really are excited to be sitting here with David today to talk to him about the founding of Spokes and what it was like back in the early 50s when they founded the club that we all know and love today. So David, if you could kind of take us back to 1950s Austin. You grew up in Austin, you told us. And at what age did you kind of get into the cars and decide or make friends to where y'all decided that starting a sports car club sounded like a good idea?
I was involved with cars from high school on. And of course, then there's hot rods.
Yeah.
And my dad liked cars too. And I was going to Stephen F. Austin High School.
Okay.
And they had a shop there, which I don't guess they have in schools anymore. You could build cars and stuff. My dad decided he wanted something better than just a 32 Ford or something. I came down to the shop and there was an MG TD sitting out in front. He'd bought this TD for me. I think really he wanted it. Back then, in '53, because Bergstrom Air Base was there, a lot of the influx of foreign cars was coming in. We had lots of foreign cars coming in. So that went on for quite a while.
Right.
Just as independence. And one of the fun things we'd do is we'd see a foreign car coming towards us and we'd blink our lights just to say hi. And finally we decided, well, we need to get a club going. I don't honestly remember who actually got it together. I know Jack Sargent was very, very involved with it. And then, it's, well, what do we do as a club? What are we going to do? Well, the simple thing back then was just to have a rally, just to go out and drive around the countryside somewhere. Yeah. So we did that, and then we said, well, let's try Jim Canna's.
Right.
We were looking for parking lots.
So you were what age at this time?
18, 19.
Okay.
We'd put Jim Canna's on it anywhere we could find a parking lot that would let us have it. We even went out to my dad's business one time, and it was on Burnett Road. And all that was the building was here, the driveway was here, and a big parking lot was back here. Well, that was our Jim Kenna. And we just drove down there and spun around and came back. That was it. Everybody had a good time.
Yeah.
Just get something to do, showing off our sports car. It just progressed from there to more sophisticated, organized functions. Some of the guys got into FCCA and all that. It just kept building out. I don't remember who thought of the idea of the hill climb. Do you remember who started the hill climb?
No, I don't. That was at Mount Bunnell, right?
The first one was.
Right, that's what I mean. The first one was Mount Bunnell.
Yeah, I've got pictures of it right here. We were out there one day when, in fact, this picture was taken. When the cars came up the hill to the top of Mount Bunnell, well, it was a Jaguar 120 came up there. Why he lost control, I mean, it was a straight shot. He lost it, plowed right into a Rolls Royce.
Oh, wow.
And it was standing right beside us. So that was kind of a bummer. A couple of years later, and I don't remember, you may, we got the idea of doing it out there.
I was not around for the original move to Mansfield Dam, but...
And it was interesting because timing-wise, you can imagine out there on that curvy course, how were we going to time it?
Right.
We didn't have sophisticated electronics or any of that sort of stuff.
Sure.
So a man would stand down here at the starting line, and the man would be up here on this top point, and he could see. So when this person here dropped the flag, he'd start to watch. When he crossed the finish line, he'd stop to watch.
So you had to have line of sight down the mountainside, across the river, for a guy to start the stopwatch and shut it off when he got to the top of the hill. What could go wrong?
And then we eventually got to where we could go. We went into the old Academy Surplus store down, which was on Congress.
Okay.
You remember down about
Oh, yeah.
4th, 5th, somewhere in there.
Somewhere there, yeah.
And we bought some walkie-talkies.
Ooh.
I mean, this is,
Yeah.
and so somebody could stand down here and up here and we could talk.
Yep.
Do you know how many average competitors you had at those events at that time?
15 or so,
Yeah.
Sounds right.
somewhere around there.
Yep.
But they came from everywhere. I mean, we had them come up from San Antonio. They come up from Houston for this hill climb because it's so unique. And it was, again, a foreign car being run up a hill, which is foreign cars are supposed to be race cars. So they were racing. This man here was a colonel out at Bergstrom. We were all jealous of his 120M Jag.
Is that McCloskey?
Yes, it is. Golly.
See, that's why we brought David.
Yeah. Good for you.
Well, there's a few things left up
Yes,
there.
I
Not
understand.
many, but
I understand.
Yeah, Joe McCloskey.
Yes.
When I remember most, he had a 356 Porsche, and that was something else in a parking lot.
I don't remember.
Look at that.
I don't remember
First DP car.
There you go.
No.
Got the windshield off.
That's a racer. That's a racer.
That's right. Jeff has a perfectly good old Miata where he cut the windshield off and put a roll cage on it. And, we've got 4 or 5 of those cars in the club these days that are pretty serious race cars. So the club has grown by leaps and bounds, as you can imagine. The logo says it was founded in 1951. Not 100% sure if that's correct or not, but it's the story we're sticking with.
That's close.
And so we're about to roll into our 75th year. And I don't know what the current membership count is, but we've hosted events this year with over 200
Oh my
entries.
gosh.
All of our local events are now down in the north side of San Antonio. We really don't have a site in the Austin area. We were racing on one of the lots at COTA. They have since ceased allowing us to use that lot. It wasn't because of what we did per se, as much as the lot's just really not well suited for the number of people we were bringing out there. And so they're talking about building a new facility on the COTA grounds. We'll see if that happens. We also travel as far away as Beeville, Texas, down towards Corpus in southwest or southeast Coastal Bend area. We've hosted national events along with the SCCA down there. So we've had two national events down there this year that we've been key parts of. We wanted to, as a group, be able to thank you for being a part of that original site to create this. So you mentioned the Colonel out at Bergstrom. I mean, I know there were races held out on the Bergstrom runways. Was that back in your time, or was
Yes.
that?
Yeah, there's some pictures in here somewhere of some of the cars.
Sure.
That was all old SCCA.
Yeah.
That little fly speck is a car.
Yeah, and he's moving.
And that's as close as you could get.
Sure.
And I mean, you're shooting with a little 20.
A little, Kodak Brownie or something.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
When I first started that transition, which is what we're talking about now, from the 50s, the Gymkhanas, to the early mid-60s, I ran with the Fort Hood Sports Car Club. And we actually ran autocrosses back then, very fast. And we'd have like 10 cars show up. And I came down to Austin to go to UT. And I went to the first Spokes event. It was down there at Chamber of Commerce. It was a Gymkhana. I had no idea what I was walking into. And there's a cone. You do a 360 around it, and you back up. And I'm going, what is this?
Had to park in a garage. I mean,
Oh, yeah, the whole bit.
Yeah.
And I'm going, what is this? I've taken the muffler off and all this stuff. I'm ready to go. And
Not going more than 20 miles an hour.
oh, God, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, 20 miles an hour.
At best.
Yeah.
I was all first gear in my MG.
Oh, gosh,
This was
yeah.
non-synchro first gear. So
Oh, yeah.
once you left,
You're there.
Yeah, we're there. And but it was just a whole different world for me. And back then, nobody wore helmets.
Oh, no.
Helmets? That's for wimps.
No, right.
It's a whole different deal. I was just sitting down, scrolling down names. See, and some of these have to be from the 50s, crossing over. I'm not sure how many of these we actually crossed. We saw Colonel McCloskey.
McCloskey, oh yeah.
Yeah. How about Dave Dunlop? He had the pit stop downtown. He came out with the Cobra, A 289 Cobra, and he stuffed it off the edge at Mansfield Dam. That hurt. Art Eatman, he had a 300 Healy that he stuffed a Chevrolet in.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Stuff
yeah,
in
yeah,
rifles.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
if I like this pattern.
yeah, yeah. That became fairly popular.
Yes, very. Rod Kennedy.
Oh sure,
Yeah.
Rod's a personal friend. In fact, when his
Down by the checkered flag and
yeah, when he and his wife got married, they lived in a house 2 doors from where I was born, over on Avenue H. Mm-hmm. And then we became good friends.
I enjoyed the checkered flag. We had had the folk singing back
Mm-hmm.
then, and that was all good. He brought out a Stangolini to run in a gymkhana.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to look at this thing and I'm going, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
And then he came out with a 3-wheeler Morgan, a real one,
Mm-hmm.
and drove around and stuff like that. And he had a birdcage Maserati.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
He had that inside for a while.
yeah, yeah.
That checkered flag, I can remember that so well. My wife.
So where was the checkered flag?
Chili parlor.
That's on about 11th,
Lavaca.
12th? Lavaca?
Yeah.
15th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right in there.
Yeah.
All right. And it was just a bar or
Well,
restaurant? Or
Well, yeah.
Was
How-
the chili parlor there then?
No.
No,
Okay,
no.
okay.
They came much later.
No. You talk about the hill climb
Mm-hmm.
spotting like that. We ran wires from the bottom to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And after every time, we'd take all the wires and just throw them in the trailer. And so we'd have to untangle, what is that, a quarter mile of,
Mm-hmm.
of wire trying to get it up there. Back then, and maybe for you too, we'd get to the top of the hill and we'd drive back over the top of the dam. Okay. We
Yeah.
did that for a long time. And then there was a woman, Sue Hawkins, who had a Formula Ford. And she's driving across Mansfield Dam, long blonde hair like this. And some guy was coming across the bridge and saw a Formula Ford going across the bridge and went, bang, right into the guardrail.
oh, God,
So from then on, we had to come back down the hill.
downhill.
In fact, that was the only time we had someone hurt. Coming down the hill, he lost control of his dune buggy, ran off the side, and broke his leg.
Oh God.
That's the only time I know that we've ever hurt anybody there. We've torn up a lot of cars.
Yeah. That's in one of the movies you got. It shows a car coming down the road,
Right.
and I thought I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had to go all the way around. I mean, you finish, take that little cut off, and come back around, come back down.
Exactly, down by the Low Rider Bridge, the whole bit.
Yeah.
I was running an MGB back then. That was the hot car back
Yeah.
then. And then a friend of mine had a TR4, but he was cheating. He used to have a TR3, so he had a TR4. And then I really got mad at him because he bought a TR4A
Hey.
with the independent rear suspension. We lived 2 blocks apart in Temple, so we're huge competitors all this time. But it's just like, and I still see him occasionally. He lives out in Phoenix now, but
Wow.
some people are
that
still
Weldon?
around, but not many. Austin back then, as you well remember, was once you got to like Koenig, it was the wilderness out there. There's nothing out there. We used to have autocrosses in the Rylanders parking lot on Airport and Lamar back then. And then we got really brave and went out to Gulf Mart, which was way out there back then.
Well, back in those days, there were the blue laws that prevented stores from opening on Sundays.
Right.
Correct. So, and that's why you could go to a grocery store parking lot and hold a gymkhana or an autocross or something like that. I mean, once they ended that in the early 90s, late 80s, that was the end of us having access to retail parking lots. And so
Having fun.
we did the best we could, though, and we've fumbled through for another couple of decades, but we keep on doing it. But
Like I said, we were so desperate to have a place to do it. My dad's business, he owned an air conditioning company out there on Burnett Road. Here's Burnett Road. Here's his parking lot. Here's a little strip down here to the loading dock back here in another building. Well, we'd line up out here and run down beside the building, spin around back here and run back up here and go around here. That was fun.
yeah.
You remember Jesse James Smith?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. The only car dealer, more or less, foreign car dealer.
Yeah.
Well, I started in 1957. Raymond Utter came down from Oklahoma, Shawnee, Oklahoma, and opened imported motor cars on Burnett Road. He opened a foreign car dealer, imported motor cars. And he didn't have a real specific brand of car, but primarily BMCs. And that's when we talked about getting into Volkswagens, because this is 57. But you couldn't sell Volkswagens if you were selling anything else. You had to sell Volkswagens, and that was it. So we just kept it with BMC. And Ken Stafford was our mechanic. And I don't know what happened to him, but we had, then he wanted to expand, so he built a building over on what's now, East Avenue. He moved over there and opened a larger building for foreign cars.
Okay.
And I stayed with him until I decided car business wasn't my deal. I wanted to go back to college and get my degree in advertising art.
So you mentioned BMC vehicles. Was that just a brand, or was that was British Motor Company, correct?
Right.
And that wasn't that like MG, Triumph, a lot of just all the various.
Rover, the whole bit.
Okay, yeah.
They even at one point there were Studebakers. Remember the Studebaker, the Golden Hawk?
I had a Studebaker station wagon.
Okay.
I wanted a Hawk, and I never got. In fact, there was one beside the road as we were coming in somewhere down the road. There was a Hawk over there on the side, and I go, and then I started to say something. They go, "These guys don't know what a Studebaker Hawk is."
Yeah. I want to say Steve Hudson's grandfather owned the Studebaker dealer in Austin, so he's one of our current members who's been around for many, many years with us. And but yeah, he talks often about the old Studebaker dealership downtown was his grandpa.
Yeah, when I moved to Austin, I was telling him there was 18,000 people at UT, 18,000.
Right.
And I was in the Longhorn Band, as it turned out, and we were walking down the street, and an E-Jag came around the corner. And we were all going, "Oh my God, that's an E-Type." And everybody's going like, everybody was just, it was a red convertible
my
E-Type.
gosh. Wow.
I mean, right then I went, God, I have to have a car like that. I have to. Never did. Never did.
We haven't really discussed that you have here a copy of the first ever rattle. I guess that was about 5 years into the founding of the club, at 5-7 years, whatever. But we look forward to kind of getting this scanned and put on our website along with all the other issues. And hopefully you got a few others buried in here that we can add to our collection, because we don't really have anything before, I want to say, about 1967 or something like that. So this is filling a great little hole in our history that we never really got to know much about.
I have one story from the 60s that you'll like. This was 1967. I was in the Army at Fort Hood. Slick sleeve private. Had an MGB. My company commander had an E-Type. Well, we were having autocrosses back there. Approached him carefully and said, "Why don't you come out to an autocross?" And he said, "A what?" And I explained to him, and we went out to the track and looked at it, because we ran around a set parking lot. And he went, "Yeah, I'd like to do that." Well, back then we'd have 10, 11 cars show up. And the way we timed it was, you're sitting in your car and there's a kitchen clock up here. And when it hit 12, you went. And when you finished, someone write it down like this. But we showed up with my lieutenant at the time, and of course we're in civilian clothes. And we're just sitting there kind of talking around, and Colonel Musgrove walked up. And John walked up to me and said, "Hey, David, what's going on?" I said, "Hey, John." And my lieutenant looked at me and said, "That's Colonel Musgrove." I said, "Yeah, I know, John." I never pulled KP after that again. It was just like,
Yeah,
it was just my lieutenant, I thought he was going to die right there. But that was the car culture.
Yep.
The rank and all that stuff
Just
didn't
all
seem to
rank.
matter for anything because we had that camaraderie around the car.
Cars. That's what held it together.
I see where this is going. Ad for my wreck.
Yeah. Arnold Bristol. Yeah, my wreck is somewhere right around there. There it is.
Ooh, you made a mess of that one.
Wow.
It's called customizing by Crash.
That's right. Looks that was rear-ended, I assume. I can't really tell which end's front or rear.
Yes, all the above.
Okay.
Envision a car coming south on Duval. Southbound car decides to turn left in front of northbound car. The northbound car is my Jag.
Oh no.
And I swerved and didn't swerve enough and got clobbered by him. And that spun me. There was a pickup truck parked right here on the curb. And I went into that and a motorcycle and I spun that out over somewhere.
Wow.
I ended up across a street over the curb. And then that one, the truck I hit went down another
Goodness.
few yards and hit another car.
And you were able to walk away from that accident, or?
No,
Okay. It looked pretty wadded up around the driver compartment there.
they didn't think I'd live.
Wow.
I was out. I still have amnesia.
One of the guys from the 60s, Eddie Mize, had an AC Ace Bristol. And we were in the same class with my MGB. And he just wiped me out all the
Are you
time.
going to talk about these?
And that car was really fast.
I don't know.
But, that was the precursor to the Cobra. And it had a six-cylinder in it.
That's a Formula V I drove out at Green Valley Raceway.
Oh, yeah. So did you road race it out at Green Valley, I assume? Okay.
I raced at Green Valley.
Yeah,
Yeah?
I think everybody did. That thing pulled everybody. Carol Shelby, everybody.
Well, I think you were gone, but I ran in the River City Road Races, which were the same course as the Carrera de Capital back from the early 60s. And we ran down Riverside Drive, around through the
Oh,
Coliseum.
sure. I remember those.
I drove in those.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah,
I sure do.
those are fun.
Yeah, that was a tight course.
Well,
Well, except for one.
for Riverside Drive, I
Right,
mean, that
right.
was, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what went on to become the River City Road Races, correct? Or,
Yeah, I mean, the Carrera de Capital was SCCA.
okay.
And then it was dormant for a long time till Joe Vining and Green Valley Racing Association brought it back.
As the River City Road Race.
River City Road Races, which we ran for 4 years, if I remember right.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a history there going back to Green Valley. I actually saw Pedro Rodriguez
Oh, yeah.
drive at a Trans Am race
Right.
there. That was a big deal back then. Now, that was before I started road racing. That was 62, 63, somewhere in there. I don't remember exactly, but yeah. And then Green Valley is a mobile home lot now.
So is this you?
No, that was my roommate.
Okay.
And shortly after this picture was taken, he rolled that thing over.
Oh, no. Really nice looking old Triumph convertible that
it's
somebody's having a good time in.
So he wanted me to drive it home because he had a headache. And
We'd call that a concussion now, wouldn't we?
probably. All the way home, he heard this ding, ding, ding. We got it home, and well, all it was, you know what the Triumph engine looks like. It had a little valve cover over the top.
Right.
Well, when it rolled over, it pushed that valve cover, the hood down on the valve cover. The valve cover was hitting the valves, bouncing up and down against that. So we just took that out and beat it out, put it back on.
Send it.
We were
That's
at Under School, which is the track around Fort Hood. And it's a triple loop 8 like that. And there was a guy with a TR3, and he said, I got to get some more weight in the back end of this car. I said, Oh, well, what are you going to put back there? He said, well, I got this big toolbox. So he put a big toolbox in the trunk, shut the lid, drive. Went around a corner, lost it, rolled it, and I happened to be working that corner, and the lid came open and the toolbox went up in the air with a geyser of tools.
Oh,
If I'd had a camera back then, it was just
oh gosh.
like this. He got out of the car, said, I guess that wasn't a good idea, was it? I went, no.
No.
But it was a good laugh.
Yeah, sure. Well, I would
He
think
wasn't
that,
laughing.
I would think that toolkit, though, shifting as you went around the corners would throw the balance off of that
Yep.
thing.
Yeah, it'll definitely do that.
For a short time here in Saginaw, Saginaw right outside of Fort Worth, there was it may have only been once or twice, but they had I guess it'd be called a time trials. And a fella in Berkeley, remember the old, two-cylinder Berkeleys?
Yes, I remember.
I think they had 2 and 3, too.
Yes, exactly.
He kept coming around that front wheel would lift off the ground. So I kept saying, down. Sure enough, he rolled it. Here I am as a flag man,
Yep.
all 135 pounds of me. Got my fire extinguisher, ran out there, grabbed the other side of it, lifted it up, held it up, for him to crawl out from under it and put it back down.
At our last event, was that 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? We took a group photo of all the entrants, and this is for you. This is the parking lot we race in back behind here. It's very large by the standards that you were describing earlier, but and it's the best site we have access to in the state. Within 200 miles, short of going all the way out to Beeville.
Yeah, you can get some speed up out
Right.
there.
And so we've had as many, like I said, as many as 200 plus entries at this site. And,
212 was our largest event.
we've developed a huge community. I mean, you see John and I wearing these RT shirts.
yeah.
That's kind of our traveling arm of Texas Spokes. It's when people go out of town, we're the road trip racing team. And we have 55 people currently registered from that group going to the Solo Nationals in Lincoln, Nebraska. So we're going to all drive 900 miles up for that here on Labor Day weekend. The club that you helped found has grown into an enormous, long-standing pillar of the community, as it were. And we've had a lot of fun, and so many friendships have been created by what you guys created way back in the day.
And I appreciate it, every bit of it, because
Yeah.
I autocrossed for 52 years. And it's because of what y'all started way back then. I was just so happy to keep on that tradition for a long time. A lot of people around the country now call it a professional autocross club. And because there's so much in that they do that's professional in nature. I'm with the local road racing track now. And when they come out, they'll hold an event once a year. And we know we can just step back because they're going to handle everything professionally, well done, leave the place clean. And it's all because of what you guys started.
I understand it wasn't some grand vision, but it just grew into a great group. And it's our extended family. And we hang out with these guys day in, day out, every week.
That's the fun part about it.
Yeah, it is all of our best friends are all part of this club. And so
Yeah.
we wanted to say thank you from all of the current membership, all of us here at the table. We wanted to thank you and your fellow founders from back in the day for what you didn't know what you were doing, but good Lord, it grew into something so wonderful. One thing we never really talked about, and we discussed it at lunch, was the naming of the club's Texas Spoke Sports Car Club. Do you remember who really named it, or
I have no idea.
it just was
thought
always
about
there, was it?
Yeah, it started out, as I said, Austin Sports Car Society.
Ah,
After a while, we thought, that sounds kind of uppity, society. So we said, we'd come up with something else. And I don't know, I think there was a segue in there somewhere between society and spokes.
right.
But I don't know who.
And all the sports cars had spokes back in those days, so it made perfect sense.
Exactly.
Yep.
We didn't wear tuxedos or anything. We
Heck
just,
no.
You may have.
These are our tuxedo shirts.
That's
now.
right. I'll tell you, when we go to like the Nationals in Lincoln, Nebraska, when one of our teammates is having car problems, you will see these shirts everywhere, swarming around on it, and it looks like a professional race team at times. It's not, but it kind of looks like it from a distance. And
It's close.
yeah, but we've done some amazing things as a group when somebody's car would break down and we had to get him back on the track within the next 10 minutes or he missed out on finishing his national championship. And we've swarmed on cars and made things happen that other people couldn't have done. And it's some great family times that we have together.
You talked about cars stopping. I had my Jag and I was moving from my home in Austin to Lubbock, going to Texas Tech. I went to 5 different colleges. My folks just learned. But you remember Jaguars were notorious for their Lucas ignitions.
Well, the MGB had the same thing.
Exactly. Go maybe 100 miles, quit. They had electric fuel pumps.
You get a hand on it.
The points would stick. Get out, climb under that Jag, which had about that much clearance, with your nice clothes on. We didn't dress sloppy then, even just to go to school. Get out, pull the cap off, pull it apart, put it back together, get on and drive that sucker as fast as you could until it quit again.
That's right.
So it took me a day and a half to get from Austin to Lubbock.
Oh my God.
My parents were frantic because we didn't have cell phones, so they didn't know where I was.
So we brought you a jacket.
Wow.
And so it's a jacket with the Spokes flag, and we've had it embroidered as a founder.
Oh my
So
God.
you are now and we're also giving you the lifetime membership to the club that you helped create. And I'm not sure we'll expect to see you down there anytime soon, but we hope you will.
Thank you.
And if you come down with this jacket on, you've got free entry to anything you want to attend.
Oh, I'll wear that proudly.
And
Yeah.
Mr. Stammen,
I didn't do it.
I know, it's become obvious.
Why didn't you?
He's been a member of Texas Spoke Sports Car Club since 1965. Until this year, he let his membership lapse. For the first time in, 60 years?
Yeah, 60 something.
Well, David,
It's called age.
No.
you get one too, except you are now a lifetime member of Spokes. You don't have to renew your membership ever again. And you're welcome to come out and see us anytime you can make it out. I mean,
Well, I see you once a year.
you do. But you got to come out and see the rest of the club and wear your jacket and
I'll do that.
yeah. Because you've been an important bridge from the founding of the club into the modern day. I don't know that we would have made it without you.
Oh,
We wouldn't have.
easily.
No.
From where I came into the club to where it was, I mean, there was a mass exodus of the old-time members. The new people came in, didn't really know what they were doing. You were the bridge that helped tie it all together, that made it possible to come into the modern age. And so
Gotta have
we
somebody.
appreciate you, and we appreciate you so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
You'd be pretty happy of the group right now. The camaraderie of the club is just the most important thing, it seems like. Now, we autocross for fun, but as Tom said earlier, we're a tight-knit family now. We vacation together. We
Wow.
attend weddings together. We go on trips together. I mean, we do all of these things.
I met my wife through the club. She was racing. She was there with another boyfriend at the time. They broke up, and a year or so later, she and I became an item. And we've got 2 young girls, or two women.
They're not young
Yeah,
girls.
they're not young girls anymore. But anyway, so
Fantastic.
I mean, and there's multiple stories like that. I mean, it just goes on and on. We could just keep regaling you with tales of all of our people.
This is very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, this is beautiful. Look
Well-
forward to wearing that.
I've got one of these jackets, and it's my favorite jacket in the whole wide world. I mean, once you wash it once, it becomes super comfortable, and you'll love it.
For so long.